Continuing coverage of breaking news on Fox News Channel, we learned in the last 5 minutes that U.S. officials have now concluded, according to the reporting of the Associated Press and others, that the Russians knew in advance that the Syrians were going to carry out this chemical weapons strike that left dozens and dozens of people dead, including women and children. As the president described it, babies murdered in their beds and hundreds others injured. It was the reason given by the White House that we launched this strike on an airbase there that hit a number of targets but did not cripple the airbase. They didn't take out the airbase itself. It was being used just hours later. Jennifer Griffin live at the Pentagon. I know that this is information that we've been sort of anticipating. What's being said there?
Well, Shepard, remember on Friday afternoon after the airstrikes, there was a briefing here at the Pentagon with two senior Air Force personnel, commanders, who were describing, and that's where we first learned that the U.S. was investigating whether Russia knew at the time of the chemical weapons strike that they knew that the Syrian Air Force was going to carry this out, whether they were involved more directly in terms of having, we were told on Friday that they had chemical weapons expertise on the ground, that is Russian chemical weapons expertise on the ground. Remember, at this Shayrat Air Base, there were between a dozen and 100 Russians based at that air base. This is a base that was well known before 2013 for storing chemical weapons, and we now know continued to have chemical agents that can be combined together to create this sarin gas, and that was used in the strike on last Tuesday. And so it really baffles the mind that Russians could be at that base, be knowledgeable of when Syrian planes take off and not know that chemical weapons were being assembled there, especially since we've now learned that Russian experts with chemical weapons expertise have been based in Syria in recent months. And
some more details just coming into us, Jennifer, in the last few seconds. The official says that a Russian-operated drone flew over the hospital in Syria where the victims of this chemical attack were rushing to get treatment. And further, hours after the drone left, a Russian-made fighter jet bombed the hospital in what American officials now believe was an attempt to cover up the use of chemical weapons there. This sounds like the Russians were complicit in many ways.
That is certainly what Pentagon officials said they were going to be investigating, and that now we understand that some of those results are coming in. It's notable, Shep, that this is coming out, this information is coming out of Washington on the eve of Secretary of State Rex Tillerson's visit to Moscow. As you just reported moments ago, he will not be meeting with President Putin, but will more likely be meeting with his counterpart, Sergei Lavrov. But again, this is going to create a lot of pressure in that meeting, and certainly the U.S. is going to use it as leverage, along with those Tomahawk strikes, to try and get Russia to pressure Assad to either step aside or to back down.
Jennifer Griffin at the Pentagon, thanks. The Russians knew. The Russian drones flew overhead and then bombed the hospital in hopes of destroying the evidence. That's blockbuster news, and it's just come in.